Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back with another one. It is Brian S. Arnold here with the Authority Project, and I have my new good friend here, Mike Rhodes, in the virtual building today. And he's going to discuss with us today the mindset, strategy, and tactics of a great Google Ads account. Is that right, Mike?
That is right. We're going to squeeze it all into 25 minutes, Brian. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Awesome. Well, we shall see today on this amazing episode of the Authority Project.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, feast your eyes and tune your ears. It's that time again. We are live with another episode of the Authority Project. It's the video podcast streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope, where we talk to digital marketers, business coaches, and creators of all kinds on how they've built authority in their field and how you can mimic their success. Developing authority, building your audience, and attracting better clients to your own business. Now, without further ado, let's bring to the virtual stage your host, Brian S. Arnold.
And yes, it's me, Brian S. Arnold here. It is the Authority Project. You are the project, and we want to slap authority to your name so you can sell more of what you're great at. And I'm honored to have today the great Mike Rhodes here in the virtual building. How are you doing today, Mike?
Wonderful. Thanks, mate. Wonderful. 6 a.m. here in Australia, but we're all good. Waking up fast.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm glad to have you here. We got a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. Obviously, we can't do the whole thing about Google Ads in a half an hour. We'll try to simplify everything for us here. So before we start, let's quickly go over who's Mike Rhodes. Who is Mike Rhodes personally and then professionally?
Mate, I grew up thinking I was going to be a helicopter pilot. I did that for a little bit. I learned to fly in Hawaii, of all places, but very quickly realized that nobody is in aviation for the money. Everybody's there for love. And you know, my chief pilot was being paid a little bit more than me, and I was brand new. And I was like, I want to be the guy in the back drinking champagne, getting flown around. That's way more fun than being a posh taxi driver, which is how the guys refer to themselves as drivers.
Wow.
That was a long time ago, late 90s. So I left England, one-way ticket to Sydney, stopped in New Zealand for 3 weeks, stayed for 3 years. And while I was there, started my first business. And I thought, yeah, this is me. I feel at home here. Partly, I've always felt more at home in New Zealand and Australia, but just I think I always knew that I would run my own business. My dad did the corporate thing, and as kids, we decide we're either going to be just like our parents or the exact opposite of our parents.
Yes.
I kind of went for the exact opposite in some ways, very like dad in other ways, but exact opposite in others. So yeah, always knew I'd have my own business. Long series of events. I was an eMyth coach for a while, worked with Michael Gerber and his team.
Yes.
And I was kind of doing that at the time, but then saw this guy, Perry Marshall, speak about Google Ads, or Google AdWords it was back then, back in 2004, his first trip to Australia. And all these small businesses that I'd been helping, because I'd sold my first business, right? So I'd come to New Zealand, sold my first business, moved to Sydney, and started coaching and consulting, doing the eMyth thing. So I'd be speaking to all these small businesses, and they'd all be, mate, I just need more business. I just need more clients. I just need more people in the door, and everything will be fine. And I sucked at selling eMyth because it was the same story every time. And I'll keep that story very, very short. But basically, they all just wanted more leads, which was Module 5. But I can't sell you Module 5 because it's a system. It's Gerber. They all just wanted more leads. And so when I saw Perry speak about Google AdWords, it's like, oh, my God, this is what they all want and need. I'm going to stop paying Gerber a fortune to use the name, and I'm going to start telling everybody I can about this thing called Google AdWords. And I started doing it for mates, for a crate of beer here and a round of golf there. And I was a little slow off the uptake, I think. I went and ran someone else's business for a year and a half because I needed experience public speaking. And then I sort of came back to it, and I'd been talking about it all the time, telling everybody in my mastermind about it, and started the agency back in 2006. So 15 years ago now, started the agency, and we've just grown and grown from there.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Love the story. Now let's go into your daily routine. What do you do every day? What does that look like?
Well, at the moment, I'm on a bit of sabbatical, actually. So it's a pretty different routine at the moment. We're back in lockdown here in Melbourne, and I'm helping my wife homeschool the kids, and so my routine is very relaxed at the moment. It's sitting by the fire, reading my book, helping the kids with the schoolwork, and playing some cards with the kids.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. And a lot of mountain biking. But normally my routine would be sort of up around this time, 6 a.m. Typically I get in early. My brain works better in the morning. So I like to come in early and do all the creative stuff before about 10 a.m. Then deal with, your day-to-day, check email. I have a general manager who would normally be sitting on my right, but we're all in lockdown, so nobody's here. So she's absolutely wonderful. She runs the day-to-day of the business. We're about 30 people strong now. Nice. So my job really is I'm very, very lucky. I get to focus on the stuff that I absolutely love, which has always been sort of the teaching side, the content creation side. So we have a second business called AgencySavvy. So WebSavvy is the done-for-you agency where we do Facebook, Google, Pinterest, Bing. So all paid acquisition. We don't do SEO, totally different skill set. We don't build websites or apps, totally different. We just do paid acquisition. And then AgencySavvy, the other business, is where we have a few hundred marketers from around the world, and we teach them how to do what we do. So that all started with me teaching people Google Ads, and that expanded to sort of pretty much everything else around what we do: Google Shopping, Data Studio, Facebook ads, how to build and scale an agency. So I get to sort of focus on the content side of that, teaching, doing masterminds. Back in the old days, used to travel around the world a bit and wander around and speak at places like Traffic and Conversion Summit and Baby Bathwater. But obviously not doing a lot of that right now. So slightly different. And then I usually leave about 4-ish, go for a bike ride. I love my mountain biking. Some great trails around here in Melbourne. And then go home, dinner and kids and card games and jigsaws and reading in the evening with them.
Awesome. So let's dive into this topic. I love all this stuff. So why are we talking, first of all, Mike, why are we talking about Google Ads? Aren't we all on Facebook now? I mean, isn't Google Ads too expensive and complicated and just not fun? What are you talking about Google Ads for now?
Oh, dear. It is the same everywhere I go, but particularly in the States. Everybody's all in on Facebook. And this seems to have been the case for like the past sort of 3-4 years. Yeah. That is changing again. It used to be all Google, and then Facebook came along. Us old timers remember a time when Facebook didn't exist. But I think Facebook is easier to teach, and it's easier to quickly get to a point where you're like, oh, I understand this. Oh, I can use this for my business. And there are, unfortunately, a fair few people that have done a course on the weekend and then they hang their shingle up on a Monday and they're a social media expert. Right. A few of those around. But I think that's why so many people just dive into Facebook, because it's a little bit easier to get going. Google is a bit of a beast, but we're seeing that reverse now, partly because of iOS 14. CPMs are going up on Facebook. Traffic's getting more expensive. It's appearing to work not as well. It may still be working, but the reporting that we get means it looks like it's not working as well. Yeah. And so people are shifting back to Google, and Google has always worked. It's just you had to put a bit more time and effort into really understanding how the machine worked. It was a bit harder. Maybe it's a game of chess versus a game of checkers. Yeah, a little bit more strategy, a few more different moves, but once you get it, oh my goodness, it's good. So why Google Ads? Because that's where your customers are. Your customers don't go to Facebook to buy something. They go there to escape everything else and show off and put pictures of the kids. Right. When you need to buy something, when I'm searching for a new microphone mixer thingy that I'm looking at on my desk, I go to Google, maybe Amazon, and read some reviews. But I go to Google and I start searching, and I'll click on those square little image ads across the top, those shopping ads. I'll look at what's on the first page. And of course, Google have made sure that everything on the first page makes the money, right? The organic stuff is getting pushed way, way, way down the page now. Right. So it works as an advertiser, as a business. You're only showing ads to people that are searching for what you sell. You're only paying if they click on your ad. Yeah. And for every single one of our customers, our clients, I should say, it's profitable to do so. So they do it month after month after month. Why wouldn't you? If you gave me $1 and I gave you $5 back, how often do you want to play that game?
So going with that, do you think because I think a lot of people might think that Google Ads is more for organizations now, people with big companies and so forth. Do you
Right.
get the sense that that is the case, or do you still see like solopreneurs and small business people still diving into Google Ads, or
I'm probably,
or does that make sense for the
yeah.
young entrepreneur, should I say?
It's a good question. I'm probably not the best place to answer that. Most of our clients are national businesses, maybe international businesses. They might cover a state, but yeah, we don't typically work with local businesses that can only serve people in, a 5-mile radius. And you're right, it is harder for those businesses because what makes Google Ads work is data, and it's optimizing your account, making those tweaks based on data, not based on guesswork. That's where the magic really happens. That's where you can, get inside the machine, make some changes, tweak things, and make it better and make it better. So you're constantly getting more of the good and less of the bad. It is definitely harder for a small business, but the genius of the Google system is it's not she with the biggest wallet wins. It's not just favoring the big guys with big budgets. There's this wonderful leveler in there called quality score, whereby the ads that are most relevant win, and Google determines relevance by who's clicking on your ad. It basically, wisdom of the crowds, basically. If lots of people are clicking on your ad and not your competitor's ad, Google is looking at that going, well, you're good for my customers. I need to reward you in some way. How am I going to reward you? Well, you're going to give me cheaper clicks. Conversely, that bozo ad, the one that isn't getting any clicks, the one that was sort of really badly written, typically a corporate, and it doesn't get any clicks because it just doesn't appear to be relevant, that's going to move further and further down the page, and Google is going to charge that advertiser more and more. So it is a great leveler. The little guy can compete with the big corporate business, but you do need data.
Yeah, so stay right there, because that's my next question. What kinds of ads should we be running that Google might like? Say this is what we want. This is what we want. This helps us. This is what we want to see from an ad.
Well, let's start right top, right? Let's start with mindset. And the mindset here needs to be one of experimentation and investment. So let's just get that out of the way, right? It's not going to work first time, and we need to keep on experimenting and testing. What's going to work? We are not the arbiters of that. We're not the ones that get to decide what works. The customer gets to decide what works. Basically, the stuff they click on, they are telling us this is good and this is bad. So obviously you can't start from a complete blank page and go, oh, let's just throw something against the wall and see what sticks. Essentially, what's relevant is what works. So if you're searching for microphone mixing desk and my ad talks about the benefits of a microphone mixing desk, that might be relevant. It kind of depends on how much you already know about me, how much you already know about the problem. That magical, mythical thing we talk about in marketing all the time, the funnel. It kind of depends at what level of the funnel you're at. And it goes all the way back to the old school guys, Eugene Schwartz, the levels of awareness. Is this person product aware? Are they solution aware? Like, do they understand what they're even searching for right now? Because if someone searches for microphone, then they don't really know what they're looking for yet. They're still in research phase. And I probably don't want to show that person an ad, because if they click it, they're probably not going to buy anything because they're still researching. But if I wait until they do a few more searches and then they type something more specific, like condenser microphone for Mac computer, that's a person I want to get in front of. And now I just need to write an ad that matches their level of intent, that uses maybe some of the words that they just used, but is a really relevant ad to that particular person. That's what's going to win in Google Ads.
Stay right there. We're flowing. We're flowing today, because my next question is just like keywords. Simplify that, because I think a lot of us there are so many different trains of thought about keywords. We don't know right now what to use. So tell us in your words, like.
Well, we just use that word intent, right? So intent's the most important thing here. So let's stick with the microphone example. Again, if someone types microphone, there's no real intent there. They're in research mode. That could be a keyword, but it's probably not going to be profitable because the person that's searching for that single word microphone doesn't really know what they want yet. Typically, the longer the phrase that someone types in, the more specific they are, the higher the intent, the higher the commercial intent. And so we want to get in front of those people that are typing those 4 or 5 word phrases. My condenser microphone near me, or buy condenser microphone online. Those phrases that show that someone's about to reach into the back pocket and pull the credit card out. Now you can bid on anything in between, and that's really the game, right? We give Google keywords. Google matches that to people searching, and then we look at the results, the data, and we go, yeah, that was a really bad idea. Let's not bid on that keyword anymore, or let's halve what we're bidding, because you don't own a keyword, right?
Right.
Maybe we should clear that up. You bid, and it's a competitive auction system, right? If you rock up to the house that's selling for $1 million and you bid $100,000, you ain't going to get the house. But you also don't want to be the idiot bidding $3 million for the $1 million house, right? You're going to end up paying way too much. So the trick is to get the bid at about the right level, where you get people coming in, clicking on your ad and coming to your website, and then you look at what happens next. Okay, they clicked, I've paid, they came to my website. Now what? Did they buy, or did they go, I'm in the wrong place, and leave? So we then use that data to tweak which keywords we want to keep bidding on and changing our bids. Or do we actually maybe, dog training was a really bad keyword to bid on. Let's not do that anymore. Those are the wrong sort of people. Right. And these, back in the day, we would adjust these bids all the time. We look at the data, we troll through spreadsheets, and we would make those changes. These days, we kind of let the machine do all of that busy work. So we basically tell the machine, this is our objective. This is the goal that you should be aiming towards. For every dollar we tip in, we want 5 back. Or if you're have a lead generation business, you might say, I need to get leads for $50 a lead. And so you would give the machine the goal, and then let the machine do all the little tweaking of all those bids. Our jobs these days is to focus on the higher level stuff.
Okay, so let's get into the point where we're in conversion mode. So we got the right keyword, we got the long tail, or at least the right audience coming to our place, the URL. So we're sending people to what? Our sales pages, our funnel pages. What should we be sending people to that Google likes and is not frowning upon?
Okay, let's start with ecom first. So for all the retailers listening, that's easy. You send them straight to the product page. Maybe based on the search, maybe there's a category page because they're not searching for that specific product. So maybe a category page. For lead generation, you're going to test there that, yes, you're right. The worst thing you can do is to send someone up to the homepage, drop them off at the homepage and say, yeah, what you were looking for, it's in there somewhere, you figure it out. Because we know exactly what they were searching for. We've just shown them a really relevant ad. Now we want to send them to the most relevant page on our website for that search. To begin with, maybe you don't have all of those pages created. So you send them to the closest possible one. And then you look through your data and you go, wow, there's loads of people searching for this particular thing. We don't have a page for that yet, but there's loads of people searching. There's loads of people clicking through. They're not really turning into leads very well. Let's try improving a page, or let's build a new page for this particular group of people. So over time, your website's changing again based on that data that you're collecting and looking at, and using that data to improve your results.
That is great. I'm glad you said that. Where am I here? What is the common mistakes that you see? And maybe I can think of that question in a second ago. But what are the common mistakes you see from the clients that you experience now? Like they'll say, like, I'm done with Google Ads. I'm going to Facebook. And you see that they're doing 1, 2, 3 things wrong. What are those things that you see all the time?
Well, I'd say probably starting with mindset, right? A lack of willingness to test, to experiment. We're going to spend this $10,000 and we need it to turn into 80,000. Well, have you ever done Google Ads before? No. This is our first $10,000 on Google Ads and we need it to turn into 80,000, or we're going to say Google Ads doesn't work and we're going to run away and go back to Facebook. That probably isn't going to go so well, because again, it's about collecting data, as my old options trading mentor used to tell me. You buy data from the market, and to begin with, you're a fool, right? You're buying data, but as you use that data to improve things, then results are going to get better. So starting there, not having the right mindset.
Mm.
Next mistake would be, I think I see people sort of picking maybe a few very, very broad, short keywords.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, that'll do. That covers everything in my business. That'll do.
Yeah.
No, that won't work so well.
Yeah.
Or the extreme is people will still add like 100,000 keywords, and they'll have these different columns in Excel, and then they'll mix and match all of these different keywords with each other and end up with these huge keyword lists. And that just isn't required anymore.
Mm.
Not spending enough time on the ad. I'm so glad you started with ad copy. Not spending enough time there. That is the only bit of the account that the consumer gets to see. And oftentimes, I've got to say, as an agency, it's often the only bit of the account that your client will care about. You know, there's a huge amount of stuff that the team are doing behind the scenes, thinking about bidding, thinking about strategy, ad extensions, all of these different things, the product feed coming in from the retail website. All of that stuff happens behind the scenes. That ad is the only bit that someone sees. So that has to do a bloody good job, of bringing people to the website, right? It has to answer their need, has to scratch their itch and say, yep, we are the right business for you. We've got exactly what you're looking for. And here's maybe a little bit about how we're different. You know, if you can squeeze those point of difference benefits into that ad at the same time that you're saying to someone, yep, we've got exactly what you're looking for. And here's this benefit. And it's probably not, we've been established in 1973, or, you know, it's probably not the biggest benefit you can come up with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to lead this question maybe to the course that we're going to show people pretty soon. Cause I was going to say, like, you know, how do we start? But that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother maybe 2 hours or whatever you want to say to get that started with. So, but are there some simple things that they should be looking at once they start? What are the key goals once you start?
I think, okay, that's a really good question. I think not assuming that everyone that's going to, like, we often make the mistake as business owners, right, of going, I know my customer. That's why I got into this business, because I am my customer. Yeah, but people are weird, and people will search for the exact same thing a bunch of different ways. I used to do this exercise back in the old days when we did conferences and I was speaking, and I would put a slide of something and show a picture of something on a slide and have everybody in the room write down 3 ways that they would search for that thing on the, just a picture, right?
Yeah.
And in a room of 100 people, everybody writing down 3 things, you would come up with 50 to 100 different unique phrases, different ways of searching for that exact same thing. It's the exact same product. So you are not your customer. People are weird. They're going to search for it a whole bunch of different ways, and you want to appeal to as wide a range of those people as possible. And that means not assuming that you know, testing lots of different ad copy, maybe being willing to change your website. That's the one thing that drives me crazy. We've got data that shows, hey, this new version of your website is 3 times better than the old one. Should we change across to it? Nah, I don't really like the look of that one. Sometimes you just, you can do all the work, you can lead the horse to water, but
yes. Unbelievable. That's great stuff, man. This has been fantastic. We're up against it here, but I want to give you a couple more minutes just to dive into why Google Ads is not going anywhere. I think we still search on Google, right? But tell the people the importance of why Google Ads should be relevant to paid advertising today.
It reaches something like 93, 94% of internet users. I mean, Google are so good at what they do. That's why it has just taken over from, if you remember back in the old days, we used to have Bing was 1/3 of searches, Yahoo, Census and Yellow Pages for a little while there, could have had a chance, but they didn't. Google own search. And yes, Amazon's massive, particularly in the States. A lot of people, when they want to buy something, we've all got Prime accounts these days.
Yeah.
We go to Amazon to buy certain things. But if we don't really quite know, we often start our search on Google, and we go down that rabbit hole and we search and we search and we come back a few days later and do a few more searches. And you have an opportunity to be in front of those potential buyers, and you don't spend any money unless they click on your ad, right? So It's where the buyers are. It can be, I'm not going to say cheap, but it can be very cost efficient, done well. And there's so much scale there as well. And we've only really talked about search and we've touched on shopping, but there's YouTube, there's display and discovery ads. There's all of this other awareness type of ads all built into that's YouTube ads, shopping. It's all in the one Google Ads account. So there's a lot of different stuff that you can do from just one little place. And we haven't even talked about tools like remarketing or uploading your email list and showing ads to those people or people similar to those people. So there's a huge amount of opportunity there.
Unbelievable. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. And we're gonna leave people wanting for more. So I got one last question for you. And it goes something like this. I ask this of all of my guests. And it says, there are people who are watching now, they'll be listening later, and they want to do some of the similar things that you're doing, Mike. They want to help people with their Google accounts. They want to, teach people about Google Ads, help them with their Google advertising. And I'm going to put you front and center, and you can tell them in your own words, how can one become an authority in this space?
I would say start by spending your own money. Start by learning on your own dime. Don't charge people while you're still learning. So start a little business. It could be a little e-commerce business, but start. And don't be scared. It is very confusing when you first log into a Google account, but don't freak out. Don't be scared. Get educated. I don't care if it's my course, our book. There's a ton of great stuff out there. Loads of great people teaching this stuff, but get educated. Please don't charge money until you know what you're doing. And then dive in. It is fun. It is addictive. Be careful. You will want to do this more the more you do it. I love helping businesses grow. If that's you too, then this is a wonderful way to do that, because this is the bit that all those businesses still, even though it's 17 years after I started doing this, it's still the thing that most business owners will say to you, mate, if we just had a few more people coming in the door, everything would be good. Google Ads is one of the best ways I know to provide that to businesses and help those businesses grow. So enjoy the journey.
Love it. Amazing, man. That was incredible. Incredible, dude. Can you let them know now where they can find you after the show, or what they should be looking at after the show?
Yep. So my Google Ads Fundamentals course is at gafcourse.com. It's about a 3.5 hour course. We've got it in video, we've got it in audio, we've got it written. So head there and that'll give you whatever modality you prefer. It's a good starting point. It's not going to turn you into a Google Ads master overnight, but it's a great starting point if you like that. Then I'm sure there's some links on there somewhere that lead into Agency Savvy. If you really want to go deeper, we've got about 50 hours of training content that will get you well on the road to being a master at this stuff. But yeah, GAF, that's Google Ads Fundamentals course.com. If you have enjoyed today and you like my style of teaching, then come and join us and dive in. But be warned, it is a long and slippery rabbit hole that's very addictive.
Amazing stuff. And please check them out. Check out the book that keeps on giving, The Ultimate Guide to Google Ads. Him and Perry Marshall, and there's another person on there. I forgot the other author.
Brian Todd.
Okay, Brian Todd. Yes, Brian Todd. So everybody, please get on this course. Get on this. It's free for you. I mean, hey, you get it out there and get that education, because it's going to be useful for growing your business. So getting those clients, getting those leads, that's what we all need. That's what everybody wants, right? So that's what it all boils down to, bottom line. So that's all for me. So honored to have you on the show, Mike. It's been a thrill. Thank you so much. I'm going to put this back on here. So I have one last thing to say, and you guys know what it is. Remember, build it, share it, and they will come. We'll see you next time. We're out of here.
And that's a wrap for this episode of The Authority Project. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you like what you heard, we want to hear from you. Subscribe, rate, and give an honest review. Share and tell your friends so they can hear too. And for even more authority building tactics, be sure to sign up at theauthorityletter.com. Get free weekly content and ongoing digital product giveaways to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. We certainly hope you got a key takeaway or maybe an aha moment from today's broadcast. Just remember, it's your authority. Build it, share it, and they will come. Until next time.